district party, your willingness to run for office, all the things you've done over the years. There's so many people here that I've known to be dedicated to the Democratic Party. I can just say thank you. People like Ron Swift, who runs this party very, very well. I had a great time at that flag day parade.
Yeah! We did too!
He's been advising me since the first time I ever came up here, and always gives smart, good advice. I think I could see Tom Nelson, who's one of the rising stars. Executive, thank you, Tom, for your leadership. I think I see State Senator David Hanson. A strong Democratic state senator in the Fox River Valley in the Green Bay area. They're always trying to come at him, but they can't beat this guy because he's the best. So I'm very happy to be here tonight. I can't tell you what it means to get the kind of nice comments you've given me because, you know, about a year ago, I was up on the Wisconsin River just having lunch looking in Tomahawk with my wife, and we were just talking, and finally I just realized I really wanted to serve the people of Wisconsin again. That's fine, but that's about 1% of it. 99% is whether you wanted me to do it. What I've heard tonight is that you know what? Other than trying to be back in the U.S. Senate, which of course I would enjoy and feel great about working for you, it's a lot more than that. And the reason that I really decided that it was time for me to do this is that being not in public office, being in the private sector, just being a citizen here in Wisconsin, being all over the state during the last 4 years, in many different capacities, I could not believe how bad people felt. Of course, I witnessed a lot of what was done and the courage of people like Dave standing up to the governor. But what I heard is that people thought what I heard from people is that they were really feeling down, that their work was no longer respected, that a feeling of unity and community in this state, particularly on issues like the environment and education, was being destroyed. We're the state where Warren Knowles and Gaylord Nelson used to debate against each other on the floor of the Wisconsin State Senate, and then they go have a beer afterward, or another beer, maybe another beer, but you know, this is Wisconsin. The point is, they were buddies. That's how my dad was in Janesville. He was one of 2 Democrats out of 130 members of the Janesville Rotary Club. But his best friends were always Republicans. And I was brought up to believe that you have your political differences, but you don't treat each other like dirt. That's wrong. And so I want to help turn this around. I want to be one of all the different people in this room and across the state who together are going to show there's a different path. And that path does begin with victories by Democrats. But it's not for partisan reasons. You know, when I get in front of a crowd and I say we need to return the value of bipartisanship to our government, Democrats cheer. You say that to Republicans, they call the other Republicans rhinos. Republican, the name only. In other words, our party still believes that we are a community, all of us. And that when you're elected to office, your job is to represent everybody. So we're going to begin to turn this around. In 2016, we're going to win this U.S. Senate race. We're going to carry this state for the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. We're going to take the seats in the State Assembly and the State Senate, which is very important. And then, in 2018, we're going to get more seats in the Senate and the Assembly. And we're going to elect a Democrat governor. Reapportionment that isn't gerrymandering, that isn't trying to minimize the votes of hardworking people. And when we do it, we're not going to do the way they did it. We're going to do it fair. We're going to do it like Wisconsinites. We're going to do it like human beings. And they'll see there's a difference between the parties. And that is we believe in the traditions of fairness and justice. And that has to be a part of the Democratic agenda, and that is foundational for the people of the state of Wisconsin. So that's what we're doing. My view has always been, as you know, that a person who wants to be a United States Senator, or a state senator, or a state assemblyman or woman, is not running for CEO of a company. You're not coming in a room telling everybody, here's the deal, this is what you're going to do. You're running to represent people. So the first thing you do is you go around the state and lecture people, take out your PowerPoint and say, here's the deal. What you do is you listen. You listen first. And so I announced for the United States Senate on May 14th, and as of yesterday, in front of the statue of the sainted Vince Lombardi, I finished all 72 counties we have already. And as you know, we're not stopping. Here we are tonight. We're going to be in Brown County this week. We're going to be in Door County this week. We're just going to keep listening. And we're going to do all 72 counties again next year. Because the job is to keep in touch with what people are concerned about. What is the #1 concern I heard? Well, I heard everything. You know, from, of course, climate change, which is terribly important. Questions about foreign policy and the Iran deal, you name it.
Education.
But education, I heard that. I heard about that.
Politics. Women's health.
Women's health.
Jobs.
Jobs, okay, that's the one I heard the most.
Thank you.
Okay. What I heard from people is that their greatest concern across the board, all across the state, is that people are concerned about getting a job or keeping a job, making sure that job doesn't get shipped overseas.
Yes.
And if you have a job, and I heard this even more, I heard people saying, you know, having a job isn't necessarily sufficient. Having a job, these days, you often can't pay the bills. It's really hard these days to make ends meet. Wages are often stagnant, expenses mount. People are not in a position, as they often have been in the past, where they can work hard and know they can pay their bills. I found this out right away before I started doing this town meeting, because I went in for a checkup with the doctor. I thought that might be a good idea before doing all this. Got a good report. She said, get down here and have your blood sample taken, check all that stuff. So I went in, and at 7:30 in the morning, there's a nurse in there, and she said, Russ, we're so glad that you've decided to run again. I thought, oh, this is good. And she says, get ready and put your sleeve up. And I said, well, how are things going? And she goes, she took that. That would be pretty good. But I said, how are things going? And she was very nice, and she wasn't complaining. But what she said to me was that she's had the same job for 26 years. She's proud to have it. She's down there every day working hard, early in the morning. She said she can't pay her bills. The wages are too stagnant, the costs are too great, and it's just eating away. It's eating away at a person's dignity and their ability to make ends meet. She said, she can't go out to dinner. But she said, I don't care about that. I just want to be able to pay my bills. I'll worry about that other stuff later. And so we hear this everywhere. And so it means we have to take steps. We have to take action. We have to make sure that when you work hard, you get paid fair. Yeah! There's an opportunity for that family need, so you can bond with that child. It's good for the family, it's good for the employer, to keep an employee like that. So these are things we can do to help. Then there's one other level. I know we have other speakers tonight, so I don't want to talk too long. But the other thing is, even if you got that job, and even if it hasn't been sent over with some trade agreement that wasn't any good, and even if you're able to pay the bills, we do have a lot of extraordinary expenses that come up. We all know that. It might be a car accident, it might be having a baby, a child. We've got child care, long-term care for older members of your family. If you got kids, and like I had a couple of daughters who found a couple of nice young men that got married. Needed some money to pay for those weddings. It was the greatest thing that ever happened. But, I didn't have this pile of money sitting around for that. So, people don't necessarily have that. And in particular, since you mentioned education, if you've got a fine young man or fine young lady in high school, they want to go to college or they want to go to one of the technical schools or post-secondary education, you know, there's probably not a big pile of money sitting around that can pay for that these days. You need to be able to get a student loan or Pell Grant or both. You need to be able to have the help of the programs that have existed over the years. Well, here's where there is a huge difference between me and the incumbent, Mr. Johnson. He has specifically said, and this is extreme, I've almost never heard a politician say this, he has specifically said he believes the federal government never should have gotten in the business of providing student loans. Can you imagine what that means for so many families? I know thousands of people who never would have gone to college or post-secondary education without that help. But you know, he has an explanation, and that is, I've heard him say that when he was in college, he worked his way through college at the University of Minnesota. He's like almost my age. It was $600 bucks. Good for him. Well, what's the deal? You pull that ladder up and say, oh, I was able to get the $600 bucks, and for the rest of you, too bad that you grew up in a family that didn't have all this money laying around. That's not right. That's a denial of the American dream. So help me out as we go forward. Make sure people know that we are talking about the economic well-being of middle class and working families. We'll talk about all the other issues. We don't diminish them in any way, but the bottom line is, people work hard, they have a right to have a decent life. That's the world that I grew up in Janesville, Wisconsin. And just about everybody was able to get rewarded for their hard work. It's the world that we should be in now. And it will help if you help make a couple of points with your friends as you go forward over the next few months. There'll be many other things, but there are very clear points. One is, Mr. Johnson, the incumbent senator, does not think there should even be a federal minimum wage at all. He said that. He's voted against several times, and he does not believe there should be government student loans. So, get those 2 points out. You'll be well on your way to helping me get elected to the United States Senate.